This video is going to be on the Downing Street Declaration of 1993. So the Downing Street Declaration, really important milestone in the Northern Ireland peace process, which would eventually lead up to the world famous Good Friday Agreement of 1998. So the agreement is signed in December 1993 between the British and Irish governments. And here you have the Christmas tree in the background and John Major, the British Prime Minister, and Albert Reynolds, the Irish Taoiseach, who both signed the agreement. Bit of background though. So this Downing Street Declaration was built on knowledge gleaned from the very secret Hume-Adams talks. These talks showed Sinn Féin were moving slowly towards a peaceful and political solution, accepting the need for consent and the need to pursue politics without the IRA violence that had been part of their past. So the declaration was aimed at encouraging a ceasefire and then political steps towards an eventual agreement. And you can see here Gerry Adams, leader of Sinn Féin, and John Hume, the leader of the SDLP. Political rivals, has to be said, but John Hume took huge risks to try to bring Gerry Adams and the IRA and Sinn Féin in from the cold and try to work towards a political solution. Declaration also came at the end of an absolutely horribly brutal year in terms of violence and pain in Northern Ireland. Nearly 100 people were actually killed, and this showed the need for peaceful solutions. So you can see here the Schenkel bomb attack, and that was followed by a terrible grey steel massacre by Loyalists at a pub at Halloween. And then you have huge Bishopsgate bomb in the city of London, which caused over £1 billion worth of damage. So what was decided? Well, the British government stated that it had no strategic or economic interest in Northern Ireland. It also stated that they would uphold the democratic wish of a greater number of the people of Northern Ireland on the issue of whether they wish to support the Union or establish a sovereign United Ireland. And it was designed for the ears of Sinn Féin, these messages, because Sinn Féin and the IRA really wanted to believe what John Hume was telling them, that the British government really was a neutral player in this and really didn't have a strategic interest in Northern Ireland. So all these messages were designed for the ears of Sinn Féin and the IRA. It also added that the UK government retained sovereignty over Northern Ireland and would not contemplate power sharing, and that is designed for Unionist Reactions. So there's messages here going to Sinn Féin, the IRA, and there's messages going to Unionists as well too, to try to keep the process moving forward. The Irish government then, how was its involvement? Well, the Irish government stated that it was committed to the principle of consent. Remember, this is something that's in all the agreements. It's that Northern Ireland would remain British as long as the people there wished, and that a United Ireland was a long-term aspiration for nationalists. However, the Irish government also accepted the need to review Articles 2 and 3 of the Irish Constitution. These articles had always claimed sovereignty over the whole island of Ireland and always been a real sticking point for Unionists. And the Irish government were now preparing to look at that to see if they could address those issues. So these decisions were confidence building and aimed at offering Unionists reassurance. Well, what are the reactions of Unionists? Well, the largest Unionist party at the time was the UUP. It's a moderate Ulster Unionist party. They didn't like the UK statement about limited interest in Northern Ireland. They viewed the declaration as having a green tinge, as they called it, which suggested it's much more nationalist and Republican. However, they did take comfort from the Irish and British government commitment to consent and the Irish offer of potentially addressing Articles 2 and 3. The smaller, more hardline DUP at the time hated the agreement and thought it was just the road to United Ireland. What about nationalists? Well, the largest nationalist party was the moderate SDLP, and they were clearly very happy because it was them that had helped to sort of pave the route towards this declaration in the first place. Sinn Féin were glad to see the British government declare no strategic interest in Northern Ireland and that they would not stand in the way of United Ireland, but they were unhappy with what they regarded as a Unionist veto over self-determination for the whole island of Ireland. So this confidence-building declaration led to a ceasefire. So the Downing Street Declaration gave enough confidence for a Provisional IRA ceasefire to be declared in August 1994 on the basis that Sinn Féin were admitted to peace talks. The British government were keen to hear the word permanent ceasefire before any talks, has to be said. But the Irish Taoiseach Albert Reynolds did meet Adams and did meet Hume in Dublin, and Adams was not allowed, or was also not allowed, by the United States, or into the United States by President Bill Clinton as a sign of increasing support for Sinn Féin's move towards peace. The Loyalist ceasefires in return were announced in October 1994, so these are all very much huge steps forward. So you can see this here, the road to the Good Friday Agreement here. So Dynasty Declaration played a clear part in that. So you can see Anglo-Irish Agreement, Hume Adams talks, and then you have the Dynasty Declaration here in 1993, followed by the ceasefire by the Provisional IRA, followed by ceasefire by Loyalists, and then in 1998, eventually, you have the Good Friday Agreement. Many thanks for watching.